How did you learn that? Great camera trick.
You know, I had these cameras a long time ago, so I'm very tech savvy. I like all these little things that come out all the time. You know, I was the first guy with a voice dialer, all the way in Japan in '94. I had I would say home, and I push on the phone and go, and all these fighters go like, oh my God, that's unbelievable. I say, you watch, in a couple of years, that's built into a telephone. No way, I say, I guarantee you, it's going to be in a cell phone. And sure enough, it's there.
Well, you know, you had the joy and luxury of living in Japan and fighting there back in the day and really making a name for yourself. And I remember one of our previous interviews, I was actually surprised that you were doing broadcasting and not fighting. And now, of course, you've become 10 times as popular as a broadcaster as you are as a fighter. What's it like being a superstar now?
Oh, I don't know about superstar. You know, I'm a known guy in the mixed martial arts world. You know, and well, actually, the movie Here Comes the Boom, I got a lot of kids following me also. That's pretty cool. But it's cool. It's cool. You know, when I started commentating, I had no clue. You know, I always tell people, the first time I commentated, I didn't bring a suit, and they're in Japan. They go like, "You didn't bring a suit?" I say, "No," and nobody told me to bring a suit. They say, "Oh, why?" I was in my flip flops and shorts. I say, are you serious? I say, yeah, I'm serious. Nobody told me. I had no clue. Commentator, you know, I think, oh, it's a sound. We're not going to be on camera. So that's why we came up with all these with these weird little openings at the Pride Fighting Championships. Me sitting with all the geishas, you know, but that was just because I had no suit and we had to come up with something else.
You know, back in the Pancrase days, you were such an incredible fighter, and you took on anybody. You know, some of the longest, most incredible fights that took place back then, really legendary mixed martial arts fights. What was it like letting it go and stepping into a totally new career and dominating that?
You know, it was the weirdest thing. Mwah. It was the weirdest thing because you know, I had to let it go because of injuries. It started to hurt so bad, like I had tendonitis in both arms, and no cartilage on the kneecaps. There's a lot of things I did, but the tendonitis in my arms was killing me. And if that would happen, let's say 4 weeks before a fight, then I would 2 times a day, or 10 times a week I would train. 10 times a week would be, after 45 minutes of training, would be an insane pain for an hour and a half. Like pain that you can't do anything about. You can't take pills for it because then you can't fight. You know, and you couldn't sleep. I started losing weight from the pain. I couldn't eat. You know, it was training became miserable. So then to step away from that was not so bad for me. You know, when I made comeback in 2006, I didn't train for 7 years. Well, I didn't train for 5 years, and then when I started training, I felt great, and that's why I said, "Oh, I'll take the fight," you know. But then 3 or 4 weeks before, all the things start coming back again. So that was for me the sign I had to stop it. But you know, to stream over into broadcasting, well, came by accident. I didn't even know there was a top 10 list. When they called me after the first year, they said, "Hey man, you're the #1 color commentator on the list." I go, "There's a list for commentators?" I had no clue, you know, and that's. I was just lucky. Every time I had the right spot, the right place. Like I always say, like they're up in the sky there, marionetting me around. You know, they say, oh, it's a career, let's put him into this. Oh, this has a TV show. Boom, first MMA show on TV, you know, Inside MMA. We're almost 7 years. We did almost 350 shows. You see, commentating, then the show, then the movie. Everything just falls into my lap the whole time. It's I got great guardian angels, I guess.
You know, speaking about marionettes, we spoke about it back in the day, your legendary sixth sense, your ability to know when knockouts are going to come, what techniques are going to come, just the intuition you have from having grown up around the gym and being heavyweight UFC championship fighter. Are you still in touch with that? Do you still feel like you're one of the fighters or the coaches right in there in the cage?
Yeah, no, well, once I started coaching and I really, with somebody, with Dwayne, I had it a lot, you know, and Genki Sudo and then Mark Kerr, you know, all these guys when I was there and we would really train together, they didn't lose, you know, and we had a really good connection. And now, unfortunately for them, you know, I got just way too busy and I couldn't do it anymore. Now, thankfully, all 3 are also retired. But that was hard for me also because, you know, a certain moment you have to go like, listen, I never asked money. You know, Mark Kerr, I never asked money. Like Dwayne Luther, Dwayne would give me money. He would say, I know, but I want to pay. I say, just give me a check so I can take my wife out to dinner. I say, I know you need it. Why would I take money from that? I know how hard it was when you're a fighter. So it wasn't for the money. It was just for the love of the sport and what I like to do. And especially if you have a guy like a Dwayne, you know, yet you just say, right straight liver, and he throws it 1 second later. He throws that combination out, you know. Now you get really interested because that's a guy who listens, you know. And I predicted like 3 knockouts with him, literally in the dressing room. do this and you're going to knock him out with, and he would knock him out with. You know, with the fastest knockout with Goulet, I'll hanging over the cage, and every time you will hear me say, I say, Dwayne, I don't know why, he's coming straight at you, just move to the right, catch him in the right. You know, and sure enough, he comes running in, boom, and he drops him. He said, how? I said, I have no clue how that is, but you know, for some things, I feel that's how I got the commentating job. You know, just watching fights in the background, when in the backstage, on the TV, when Marco Huas was there fighting, I was in his corner, I was his training, and Marco Kerr, and I just saw a fight. I said, oh, he's going to give him a right armbar. And they go like, what? I said, no, check, wait, just wait. There we go. Oh, you see, there we go. So they go like, how do you know? I said, well, you can tell, you know. He said the way he sets it up. That's how he got the job. They said, literally said, oh, did you ever do commentating? No. Do you want to try? And that was in 2000 when the Pride went on pay-per-view in America. So you see, every time I'm there. I'm blessed.
You really are, and your timing in the sport was impeccable. Why is it so hard for so many fighters to get out of the sport and to retire at a timely age?
You know, because it's a feeling. I always say that you can't get anywhere else. It's the training. I miss, like, my knees are so painful. If I would roll, and now with my arm, I have no power in my arm. But then, you know, that would hurt for 5 days. So I can't do it anymore. But that is something I really miss, just the ground fighting. Because with ground fighting, every day when you roll, something new comes. You go to, oh my God, I never knew that, you know, or a new submission, or a new counter, or a new setup to a submission, and a new escape into a submission, and like all that cool stuff. And it's the same with sparring, you know, with standing, and that I really miss. And also to be with my students and say, okay, let me show you how to do this. And now I can't really show it anymore because, you know, I don't even want to be in there because I'm going to give the wrong image off, you know. I'm a shade of what I was. I'm still powerful, and I have that I have. But you know, just the right arm is hard.
I was talking about it with Randy the other week. You know, the reason why he retired so late was he was still achieving technical perfection and excellence as a ground fighter in his late 30s. What was it like for you giving up the game and moving into commentary?
You know what? Also, Randy is a smarter guy than I was. You know, I was a guy. We sparred 2 times a day, full out. That's how we trained, you know. And Randy knew already. Oh, we can't do that. We gotta, you know. So he worked. I was more injury free than I was. So that I think helped him a lot as well. That's why he could continue to fight. What was the second question?
Everything back then, you know, you did it yourself. You had such a strong regimen in terms of running and in terms of the technical jiu-jitsu. I remember one submission, you literally got it off a television screen the night before a tournament in Japan. Yeah. What was it like training yourself and being in the sport at the early age when really the rules were different, when everything was different?
It was an eye-opener for me. For me, it was a must. I just lost. And I'm a very bad loser. The last time I lost with Ken Shamrock, that really made me getting vocal, and I got